Okay, good evening, everybody. The February 27th Hibbing Public Utilities meeting is called to order. All commissioners are present with the exception of Commissioner, never mind. All commissioners are present. First item will be adds or deletes. I know we have recently added item 6A, number 2, approve resolution 24-02, deferral of vegetation management, and item 6D, approve ST Cotter for turbine generator 3 rotor repairs and balancing in the amount of $36,843.75. Next item will be item number 3, approve the minutes of the January 23rd, 2024 meeting. Will be the wish of the commission.
I'll make
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Babish, support by Commissioner Sandstad to approve the minutes of the January 23rd meeting. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Citizens Forum. I have a request from Terry Garrity. Okay. Well, if he shows up, maybe we'll take that up later. So we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Item 5A, approve invoices greater than 1,000 and approve the bills and ACH transfers dated July 20th to February 23rd, 2024. Item 5B, approve the payroll paid and overtime report for the July 25th, February 8th, and February 22nd, 2024 pay date. Item 5C, acknowledge tax compliance form for fiscal year 2023. Item 5D, approve Mike West's 6-month review and subsequent salary adjustment. Item 5E, approve request for contribution for the Victory 5K in the amount of $500. Item 5F, accept the resignation with regrets from Peter Jensen, effective March 8th, 2024. What would be the wish of the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to pull item 5D, please.
D as in dog?
D as in dog. That's
Okay.
correct.
Thank you, Mr. Stokes.
I'll second.
I don't know if he needed.
I don't know if I need to either.
Yep. Any other items?
I just have one question on the invoices, 5A. When I look through our document, always their staffing, I'm sure it's temporary hires, but can somebody speak to what kind of hires those are, what that is?
Mrs. Dickinson?
Sure, I'll take that one. So the Always There staffing provides our temporary employment when we're in the process of filling vacancies. We had 2 temporary employees for a handful of months, and those positions have since been filled, so we're no longer responsible for future expenses.
And what kind of positions were those?
We had one in the meter reader position and one in fuel handling.
Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Chairman Hart, support by Commissioner Stokes to approve a consent agenda items A, B, C, E, and F. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Item 5D, Mr. Stokes.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to, as we get down the agenda a little bit farther, we're going to be visiting this org chart, and I would just like to bring this up under that, which would be down in 6D, I believe. Or, excuse me, I'm sorry. Policy and governance, since it would be 6B, I'd like to bring those back together. We could.
Move it to
If we could bring it up under discussion under 6B, or 7B, excuse me.
add an item under 6 or
7,
under 7?
yeah.
Okay.
Because it would be, I want to discuss, I don't know if we want to take it up under new business or old business. I want to discuss the org chart
Okay.
and where we're going with this org chart and these jobs and these positions that we have coming forward.
Okay, 6D.
7?
I mean, we'll move it to 7D and we'll add discussion of org chart to that. Is that correct, Mr. Stokes?
5D, 7B, discussion org chart under old business or new business, whichever you.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'll need a motion to do that.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Sandsted, support by Commissioner Stokes to move item 5D to policy and governance. Okay, any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we'll move to number 6, financial and risk management. Item 6A, review and approve the January 2024 financial report. Could you introduce them for me, please? Thank you.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. We have with us Russ Hisman from Baker Tilly, who will be going over our audit and financial report.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners, for having me at the meeting tonight. And you have before you the financial statements for January 31, 2024, with some comparative numbers for December 31, 2023. So the numbers for December are not final yet, as we're progressing towards getting ready for the audit, which kicks off in a couple of weeks. And there's a lot of folks that have had a hand in getting the books ready for audit. Ms. Manson and Ms. Moore, Ms. Dickinson, and Mr. Plombaum, and a number of other individuals we've been working with to get the financial statements ready and the books ready to go. So those numbers are preliminary, but I think in the exhibit or the document that you have of the financial statements, the page you really would like to review is page 8 of it, where we look at the financial statements for the 1 month ended January 31, 2024. If you look about halfway down the page, there's a line item that says operating income or loss, and that's really how you gauge how the financials are going for the year so far. And you can see we're off to a pretty good start with electric, with a positive operating income, a slight loss in steam, although some of that gets allocated from the electric utility. Gas strong as always in winter, and water chugging along too as well. So I guess in a nutshell, the financials for January are pretty solid, and I didn't have much else to add to that, but I'm happy to take questions from you on the financials or any other financial matters.
No question.
I think we're good.
I think we're good, Russ. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
What will be the wish of the commission?
Make a motion to approve the financial report as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Sandsted, support by Commissioner Stokes to approve the January 2024 financial report. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item 6A, number 2, approve resolution 24-02, deferral of vegetation management. You guys want to make a comment on that? Not really.
This is Russ Houston again. I was asked to make a few comments on this resolution, if that's okay with the commission. All right.
Yeah, go ahead, Russ.
Please.
Okay. So resolution 2402 has to do with deferral of the expenditures involved with the vegetation management services that were provided in 2023. There's some expenditures that happen in a utility, in this case, the electric utility, where you incur large expenditures for things like vegetation management, major maintenance, things like that, for things that have happened over time that you can't really recover from customer rates all at once, so you spread it out over time. And so there's an accounting standard, governmental standard 62, which says you can certainly do this, but you need the approval of your oversight body that approves the utility rates. So we bring this resolution to the commission to authorize the deferral of the $413,393.75 in vegetation management costs to a period when rates are next adjusted in the electric utility, and then to spread those out over 5 years. So this resolution is required by accounting standards for the accounting treatment to treat them that way, deferred now, recovered later in rates.
Thank you.
Thanks, Russ. What would the wish of the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Bayless. Oh, I'm sorry.
Support.
Yeah. Support by Commissioner Babich to approve the resolution for the vegetation deferral. Any further discussion?
Chair, I did have one question for
Yep.
Russ. Russ, if you're still there, is this something that we can stack deferrals, or is this a one-time deferral until this is paid off?
You can stack these up. There was an amount deferred in 2022, about 76,000. So you can do this at any time. The accounting standards just say you can't make the entry until the commission approves doing it. And then you also will get a resolution when it's time to run those through electric rates to take them out and defer them and recover them.
Okay, but it's always a 5-year period that you can defer over?
No, it's, you select the period. 5 years is kind of standard. You can make it 10 years, can make it 2 years, whatever. Usually what happens in practice is when it comes time to adjust electric rates, you see what the impact is, plus you might have other deferrals that you're trying to recover and you want to smooth out rates. So maybe you want to defer it over a longer period, or maybe 5 years is okay. But you make the decision at that point in time and can certainly amend this resolution then.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Any other discussion? Not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, under financial and risk management will be item 6B, authorized call for bids for 2024 water main capital improvement projects. Take these one at a time. First one will be items A, would be the First Avenue to 4th Street and Kelly Lake project. Josh, right?
Yes, yep, correct. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioners. So tonight, we're seeking authorization to bid the 2024 capital water main improvement projects. No changes since we talked 2 weeks ago at the work session. Everything's still on schedule as discussed. Would anticipate bringing the bid results to the April Commission meeting. So I'd gladly entertain any questions from the Commission.
Were you going to call for bid on all three of these projects in 2024?
Correct. Three separate contracts.
Yep.
Okay. I just have one question. What's the restoral plan on these ones? I know we fell into some confusion on the last one and had to kind of go back and forth. What do we have planned for that?
So this year's projects are a little different. Kelly Lake is probably the most open cut. Even then, it's not even 50%. It's more patchwork across pretty much all the projects. So last year's scenario where we had half the street isn't going to be a thing this year.
Okay,
So
good deal. So people don't really need to worry about that part of it.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Good.
From a traffic disruption, it's going to be pretty minor.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on the Kelly Lake project?
I just got one more, just kind of to put out there for the ratepayers is, how long does the Kelly Lake project Like, what's the estimate of how long,
Like length,
like, know how long it's gonna take, time-wise?
it's hard to say. I would expect the majority of the summer. It is primarily trenchless, so it should make it go quicker. We don't contractually write when they have to start by. We just put an end date on it, so it will be done by the end of September.
Okay,
So-
so, and does that mean and the only reason I'm concerned is just because of the location, it's, you know, a heavily trafficked area. So that will be, like that, will they block that whole street and they'll have to reroute around?
We do have a
also?
detour plan, yep.
Okay.
That was shared with the city engineer for his review and approval as well. So,
Okay. Just make sure they direct all calls to the city. When they're complaining. Oh, thank you.
Okay, I'll make a motion to call for public bids for the Kelly Lake Water Main Capital Improvement Project. Do I have support?
Second.
Motion by Chair Hart, support by Commissioner Stokes. To approve calling for bid for the Kelly Lake project. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. The next project will be the 41st Street project, which will start on 12th Avenue and run to 19th Avenue.
correct.
Josh?
It's actually closer to 8th Avenue,
Okay.
but
Do you have any questions for Josh?
As long as, what's the answer on the same question for this one, Restoral? Are they all the same?
generally, yeah,
Okay.
this will be patchwork. The most intrusive area is 19th, which we expanded a little bit based on the break 2 weeks ago. And then just south of the roundabout as well,
Okay.
so,
Same completion dates?
correct.
Perfect. I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bayless, support by Commissioner Babbage to call for public bid for water main capital improvement project on the 41st Street project. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Last project will be the Highway 169 distribution line from 23rd Street to 25th Street. Anybody have any questions for Josh?
Nope, I'll make the motion to approve it.
Second. Oop, go ahead, Joe.
She was first. Motion by Commissioner Bayless, support by Commissioner Sandsted to approve calling for bid for the water main improvement project on Highway 169. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Next item will be item 6C. Approve NOAA spec for purchase of overfire and draft controls in the amount of $78,341.66.
Thank you, Chair Hart, Commissioners. Before you, we have the controls for the overfire and draft controls for boiler 1 and 2. This consists of 2 Trabaco PK302s and 4 PK1000 controllers. If you look, we've included the quote from NovaSpec. These will be able to be integrated into our Delta V system. We also have pictures on there that show the condition that we currently have the boiler controllers in now. They have looked into purchasing rebuild kits for these, and the cost is getting up there as these parts and pieces are no longer relevant in our system.
Thank you, Paul.
Chairman?
Mr. Stokes?
So Paul, are these something that are pretty ready available? Is this gonna, they have been around, these new controllers, have they been around for a while? Because even though we have the boiler number 2 blanketed, they have the same exact controllers on there, so I, assuming that their life expectancy would be at their end also, and if we do go back to removing that blanket and using the boiler at its full capacity, that way, these controllers will still be around, so we're not having multiple controllers and try to keep us familiar base, so for all the equipment, I think that was the plan in the beginning, is to keep the same standardized equipment throughout.
Is your question if we decide to burn coal again in boiler 2, would these controllers work for that as well?
Are the controllers readily available? Are they a standard controller, been around a long time, so
Yes.
5 years down the line, if we need to purchase some more, they'll be,
Yes,
Same
these,
controller.
these are the quote that we got from Novaspec. They are the most, they've been around for a while, been tried and tested. And we did go for both boilers because boilers 1 and 2 are going to take the same controllers in there.
okay, thank you.
So, and boiler 1 currently does burn natural gas and coal. Boiler 2 is only burning natural gas but has the ability to burn coal if we so choose with a little bit of work.
I'd make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Stokes, support by Commissioner Stansted, to approve the purchase of the overdraft and fire and draft controls in the amount of $78,341.66. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item will be item 6D, approve ST Cotter for turbine generator 3 rotor repairs and balancing in the amount of $36,843.75. Paul?
Thank you, Chair, Commissioners. Before you, we have a quote from SD Cotter that we received this afternoon for approximately $36,000. This is the minimum requirement that we've discussed with our insurance company that will put the rotor in a safe state and also allow us to meet our capacity accreditation on June 1st. This will allow us for approving of the turbine, so we'll be able to run it, make sure that everything works correctly, and then have it readily available for MISO emergency calls and 1 urge test prior to the deadline of August 31st.
Thank you, Paul.
And it also, it also was informed to us that this will be back by mid-March on site.
That's good. I'll make a motion to approve that.
I got a question. Paul, with this approval, are we still okay with our insurance company, FM Global?
Yes, I talked with Mike from FM Global over the past couple weeks. They said as long as we had a third-party verification of what was needed on it, and we did get that from a third-party blading company, and they approved it. We sent that verification back to FM Global, and they said that they agreed with our recommendation for it, and they were okay with this plan of putting it back in for approving emergency use and 1 urge test prior to the August 31st.
So is that the same company that was doing the third-party approval prior to this?
Correct, yes.
So this is gonna be, this turbine will be only emergency use only then? And just for the urge test?
Correct, and 1 startup once it is reassembled and put back together to make sure it works to begin with, yes.
I'm done.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the repairs as presented. Is there support?
I'll support it.
Motion by Chair Hart, support by Commissioner Bayless to approve the turbine generator rotor repairs and balancing to ST Cotter in amount of $36,843.75. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, under financials and risk management, we have item 6E. Approve the lease of 2 Mitsubishi Outlanders from the Minnesota fleet. Stephanie, you have anything to add?
Yeah, good evening. So just as we had a brief review in the work session, a reminder that staff had done an assessment on our current fleet and approved later in 2023 a capital fleet replacement program. And we had worked with our fleet mechanic, Chris Adams, and then the State of Minnesota Fleet Services staff on identifying two good choices for replacements on the reassigned vehicles that HPUs essentially lease borrowing from the state of Minnesota. We have a Chevy Bolt and then also a Toyota Prius that the state has notified us that they'd like back to surplus. So the recommendation is to approve them with two Mitsubishi Outlanders, and those would be available for administrative staff travel in town and out of town, and then also for engineering staff as well for job site visits.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just a question, just a point of clarification on these vehicles. These are being purchased for departments for their use and not for individual employees as a staff vehicle, correct? Thank you.
Just out of curiosity, what were we paying for the other?
So the state is a nonprofit, and the reassigned vehicles we have right now were to essentially help us out in a bind. And so the vehicles that they've set and approved for surplus, they'll reassign to state agencies while they're working through plans like we were. And then the caveat is that we would then procure a vehicle through them within a year's time. So the lease payments for the Bolt and the Prius were very low. They were each about, I think, approximately $120 a month. But again, that they had already depreciated to a value that the state no longer wanted to make a profit on them and within the guidelines that they adhere to. So not a great comparative, but the monthly lease payments that are available for state agencies to lease through the state administrative services, not only the expense of leasing the vehicle, but also repairs, maintenance, insurance, and we can also elect options.
So kind of that was like a one-time opportunity. Just,
Yep.
okay. Thank you.
What will be the wish of the commission?
I guess I'll make the motion to approve the leases.
I'll support them.
Motion by Commissioner Babich, support by Commissioner Bayless to approve leasing two Mitsubishi Outlanders from the Minnesota fleet. Any further discussion?
Just curious, does anybody else have thoughts? I mean, it sounds like it's a pretty quiet room when we come to these leases, but we either need vehicles or we don't, right? I'm just curious if anybody has anything they want to add as far as disagreement.
I'm just concerned how they're gonna fit into the utility system. I mean, they're not pickup trucks and stuff like that, and I understand that we don't need pickup trucks for every item, but are they gonna end up being meter reader vehicles, or where are they gonna end up? I guess that's my big concern.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can give a little bit of feedback on that as well. You know, it was intentional to select multi-use vehicles that would be available for not only out-of-town travel and just, you know, a light-duty vehicle like a car would be a great option for that. Our engineering staff has been utilizing the Prius and the Bolt, and we've had some good and negative feedback regarding those options. So we're trying to adhere to something that can easily not only, you know, have a passenger in the vehicle, but also easily carry around their tools and equipment and keep a vehicle clean and tidy. Our trucks, light duty and heavy duty, we've been replacing them over the last year, and we'll continue to recommend annually to the commission according to that capital fleet improvement or replacement plan. And so we're kind of trying to take care of two things at once. And then last summer as well, these vehicles will be available for our summer students as well, if the commission approves that program again, for driving around town, and some of the tasks that they complete are light maintenance at the different facilities and painting meters, regulator shacks and stuff like that. So we're doing okay on catching up on replacements of utility pickups, and this is more cars, light duty vehicles that will be available in fleet, and they'll be available primarily for administrative staff and also our engineering department, but go for the meter readers if one of their vehicles as well.
So Stephanie, I believe when I came out on in commission, I believe it was you that had the chart of all the vehicles and the departments, and you had it broken down, and maybe it would help if we could get that chart when you propose something like this, when it comes forward, so we can see where they're gonna fit in and how we're gonna move forward with these vehicles.
Absolutely.
It'd be greatly appreciated.
Of course.
Thank you.
And then, Mr. Chair, my only other question on these, are these four-wheel drive vehicles? Are
They're
they
all-wheel drive,
front-
both of
All-wheel
them.
drive, okay, and then how do you have a tonneau cover on one of these?
I believe the cover goes over the back hatch where the tools and equipment would be stored.
So it's kind of internal, not what I'm thinking on a pickup
Yes.
truck or something, okay. Yeah, and if we could have these a little bit of ahead of time, just so questions like on the lease amounts, a monthly lease amount, that's a big jump. If we saw that a little bit earlier, would be good.
So just to play Columbo here, if we were not leasing these, in the old days, we would be leasing 2 pickup trucks. Is that what I'm hearing? Or buying, like, we're moving away from light-duty pickups to,
I think in the different, so with the capital fleet replacement plan, what we had looked at is in the different work groups, what was the most efficient vehicle available for that work. We had in the last handful of years allocated a similar vehicle, I believe it's a Ford Edge, correct me if I'm wrong, to like say instrumentation, who in the past may have had a different style of vehicle. Our meter readers also have similar vehicles to that, so when it makes sense, we'll look at maybe changing from a pickup truck to a different style of vehicle, but at any time that we'll make a replacement, we're going to review them individually.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item will be, okay. Next item will be under policy and governance, item 7A, approve hiring of Jim Zoller as customer service supervisor. Jill. Oh. Jill. Yeah.
I think you said Jim, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I can take that one. So a few months back, the vacancy for a customer service supervisor was approved by the commission. Over the last say, month and a half, we've completed the recruiting process for this specific position. We had 6 external applicants and 0 internal applicants. A lot of very qualified individuals. This was an extremely difficult decision. Paul was in on the interviewing as well. The candidate that we're recommending to fill this vacancy has over 12 years of directly related experience working with utility billing, utility project management, also has some funding experience directly related to the CDBG program that we've been awarded funds for the 2nd year in a row. Also direct experience in local assistance programs like Weather Rule, the CARE program, fuel assistance for our low-income eligible ratepayers. And then in her current role, has a current leadership role in local government and oversees indirect staff related to, additionally among utility billing and rate structure, the general items like payroll, accounts receivable, accounts payable, customer service, de-escalation to complaints, and then ideally for us, which was a huge benefit of this applicant, is that they have experience and currently use Cassell, which is our accounting software and utility billing management software, And also, we're in the process of implementing and we'll go live with Maximo in the next couple months. And they also have years of experience using that platform as well. So that wraps up qualifications and experience, and I take any questions.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
On this, was it the January 9th meeting that you're talking about that we approved the job description?
I believe it was January 9th, this one.
So I'm looking at our minutes from January 9th, and I know that the commission approved the description. I don't know that we approved posting it. So as I look back, it's just approving the job description, but not posting it. So I think this kind of feeds into our conversation maybe later on about the whole org chart. And I don't know if it's probably best that we maybe pull that right now and go back to the org chart discussion and come back to this. Unless somebody can speak to whether we can post it.
Mr. Chairman, I've got the same concerns. Thank you, Mr. Babich, for getting the org chart for us. I see there's drafts, and I see what we approved, and there seems to be some confusion as to the way it was done in the past, you know, how it's being done now, and I'm not opposed to the way it's being done right now, but in the draft on the org chart, this position's in here, but on the approved, it's not in there. So I'm just kind of wondering, this is going to go along with the next two items that I wanted to bring up. So I think actually all three of them should be together and discussed. I would really like to see this all approved before we move forward, because we're getting into a financial position with salaries here that I'm a little bit uncomfortable with. So with staffing, we still have a group of managers to be evaluated, and we're coming up on a contract with the union of I believe next year, end of next year, and I'd like to see the procedure or the way it's done, so we get the job descriptions approved, the salaries approved that are going to fit these job descriptions, and then go out for bid, or not for bid, for postings internally and externally. So to me, that would make a lot more sense. I'm really confused in this org chart thing that we've been passing, and some stuff is still laying out there and not approved. And I'd like to see all that approved first, and then move forward with all this. Not that I'm opposed of any of it. I just want to see a more clear procedure brought forward and done, so we know what the fiduciary responsibility for the utilities is going to be in the future. Because the salaries, once they're implemented, they're going to be there for the utilities forever. So.
Mr. Chair, I would concur with Commissioner Stokes on that. Otherwise, I feel like we're kind of building an airplane as we're flying it, and it can be changing constantly. And financially, I don't know how we can budget like that.
Fair enough. So, thanks for your input, and we're in a little bit of a time crunch tonight, so we're probably not going to have a lot of discussion regarding the org chart at this meeting. There's precinct caucusing. This meeting needs to be done at 6 o'clock. So, we can either take no action or we can table these items.
Chair, I was gonna suggest actually that I would make a motion to table the entire menu of those items in regard to the org chart and personnel, so we can talk about it with Mr. Peterson. In fact, I'd actually asked the chair if it was discussed at the last working session, because I wasn't there, and we didn't talk about any of those positions. And I don't want to micromanage Mr. Peterson, but I would like more info. So I'd make a motion to table if we can. If I have to go one at a time, I will.
Chair, and because I appreciate where the commission's coming from, I was wondering if procedurally, if that would essentially force you to take action at your next meeting, which is usually a discussion meeting. And I'm wondering if it might be more prudent just to take no action, but then direct all three issues go on for discussion at your next meeting.
Okay, forget everything I said before you said that.
Yeah, I assume that 7A, B, and C, the commission all has a concern with regard to those, as well as relating back to 5D, the item that was on the, consent agenda that was pulled. So maybe the motion would be to just have all those items just referred to the next commission meeting for discussion, with the idea that you might take action on them at the subsequent meeting, if that's the feeling of the commission.
Thank you, Mr. Borland. That's exactly my feeling, at least, so.
Yeah. Or are we?
No.
Can we try to, I don't know, 'cause since, obviously, Peterson's not here, we can't, he'll be relaying this info, but, you know, like, can we have this in a working session? Can we have everybody there? You know, I'm not saying all the employees, but, you know, like you guys, Mike, and, you know, that be kind of like for agenda of the session, and we don't have Bolton and Mink coming in to give us an hour-and-a-half presentation, no offense. And, you know, just, you know, it's just more we can focus in on this versus, you know, this ending up at the end of a 2-hour working session.
Okay.
I'm just putting that out there, I guess, to the air,
Okay.
requesting that that be part of it.
Maybe requesting it be the first thing on your discussion items.
Yes.
So I think it's
Okay.
addressed in that.
No
fashion.
action?
No
So
action.
we'll move to, we do have a union position here, item 7C, which really,
So, Mr. Chairman, there wasn't any changes in the job description for lineman, right? It's just a standard post, so we can approve this 7C, can't we, and move forward with this? So we're not holding a line crew up at all? Because that job description's already written and put in the union contract, so. It's the other ones I have a concern with, so.
move ahead with the posting and advertising.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve 7C.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Stokes, support by Commissioner Sandsted, to approve job description and posting and advertising for apprentice linemen. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all's in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
And then I would encourage someone to make the motion to say, if you want to just take my words, that items 5D, 7A, and 7B, that we specifically take no action tonight, but refer those to the first item on at your next commission meeting, first discussion. I think you make that motion in a second so that clear for the general manager as well that you want those items addressed.
Yeah, I'd make the motion to say what Mr. Borland said.
I'll second.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
With the exception that 7D, just the org chart, we had added that item earlier on the agenda, that would be included.
And that's fine. I think 5D kind of, I was making the leap of faith that 5D was, that Commissioner Stokes was referring to the org chart and trying to have that discussion, but that's fine. That the org chart be part of that discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Support. I mean, wait a motion, support. We have a motion by Commissioner Bayless, support by Commissioner Babich to move items 5D, 7A, and 7B to the next working session. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all's in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Near the end, any other old or new business? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bayless, support by Commissioner Stokes to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for your guidance, Mr. Borland.